Just look at this wonderful moment as King Charles gave a hug to 15-year-old Florence Marguerite, who has Down syndrome, during a trip to Bradford with Queen Camilla. Now, this was a really down-to-earth and wholesome moment for the king, who made sure to stop and talk to Florence and give her a hug during a visit to an art exhibition. So, as I say, the king and the queen have spent the day in Bradford to celebrate the people and heritage of Bradford, which is the current UK City of Culture. Now, they had a wonderful reception. There were crowds waving flags to greet them when they arrived at the live venue, the Bradford Live venue, with the Mayor of West Yorkshire welcoming them to the city before they stopped to speak to members of the public. They were then treated to a performance by school pupils inside the 3,800 capacity venue, which is Bradford's new £50 million venue. The Queen, as patron of the National Literacy Trust, then joined an event celebrating their work in Bradford, where she met volunteers and listened to poetry performed by local school children, and you can tell she really enjoyed this. The Queen is a big advocate for people getting more into literacy and reading and creative writing, things like this, and at the same time the King visited Impact Hub Yorkshire in Little, Germany, which is a centre that provides support for growing local enterprises and entrepreneurs. Now, there was one person here called Safina Khan. She runs the Florent Flower Shop in Bradford, and she presented a bouquet of flowers to the king inspired by his Highgrove garden, and this was really sweet as well. They also shared a moment together discussing living with cancer. According to her, she said, "It's one of the things nobody wants to have in common with anybody while His Majesty is still going through cancer, and I have had it twice." So apparently they had a short conversation there. She said he was really appreciative of the flowers. He said they were lovely, they were beautiful. And then he asked how I was with the cancer, and I asked him how he was as well. We had that little exchange, and I think it was quite personal and very warming. The Queen then visited a cottage in Thornton where the Bronte sisters, the writers, were born, and which was recently bought so it could be turned into a cultural education centre. And then later the King also visited Cartwright Hall, which was an art gallery where he met Florence, who I discussed in the beginning, where he had that lovely hug when he stopped to talk to her. And asked later on about the experience, Florence said it was awesome. Now, during this visit to the exhibition, the King also met the magician Stephen Frayne, formerly known as Dynamo, who turned a newspaper into £20 notes and performed a classic pick a card trick in front of the King. And also while he was there was a lovely choir performance by BBC Radio Leeds Bantam of the Opera before Charles spent time talking to some of the members about their experience with the choir and their memories of the 1985 Bradford City fire, which claimed the lives of 56 football fans. So a really poignant moment where the King was discussing this fire with them as well. But yes, I wanted to bring you mainly this amazing hug with the King and Florence, and then also the moments of the King being presented that lovely bouquet of flowers and discussing his cancer. Now, let me know your thoughts of this in the comments down below, and thank you very much for watching.